Yes, in the last class we are explaining this accessing the superclass members by using the super keyword. Now we are seeing class A as int I and class B extends class A. Here also we are having two same variable int I. Whenever we are accessing this I will hides this I. Okay, whenever you are accessing through from class B, the subclass constructor variable will hides the base class constructor base class variable. Okay, so here I'm constructing the constructor because the name of the class B. With this B I'm using the constructor a comma B, right? Sorry, constructor method with parameters int a comma int B. Now super dot I is equal to A, I is equal to B. Now what I'm doing here, by using this super class super keyword, you can access the data members. You can access the data members of base class, right? Super dot I is equal to A means whatever the value I am supplying, this value will be assigned to this super class data members, and I is equal to B. Here whatever the B is there, that will be assigned to this subclass data members. Now I'm showing the I'm using the white show method. By using this white show method, you are displaying super dot I. That means whatever the I value I am passing, that will be displayed through from the base class. And if I simply give as an I, this will display the subclass value. Okay, afterwards I am taking the another class. The name of the class is use super class. Use super here will consist of a main method. For the subclass I'm constructing the I'm creating the object. Okay, while creating the object we have to supposed to initialize the object. Why? Because we are using the subclass constructor, right? So for the class B I am creating the object as a sub OB, and by using new you are creating that object and you are supplying this 1 comma 2. This 1 will be passed as a base class data members through from super.I method, and 2 is assigned to this I variable. Whenever you call the sub ob.show method, it will show as 1 as a base class I variable and 2 as a subclass I variable. Okay, so let me explain this with running this program. Let me copy first and take I'm taking our editor, run notepad, and I'm pasting, and I'm coming here because still our program has not finished. I'm copying and I'm coming to your notepad, I'm pasting here. Okay, so how to save this? Use super keyword. Okay, this question is asked, so this is very important question, and I'm going to save this. While saving, what we have to ensure? We have to ensure we are saving in right directory, that is JDK 1.4 bin directory. I'm pasting. The name of the class is usesuper.java and saved. Afterwards we have to take our command prompt. So how to take the command prompt? Go to start button, run, and type cmd. If you type, we are getting our command prompt with the default directory. We have to exit from the default directory and we have to log in into our own directory. So this is the command to use to log in into our directory. Now java c use super. What is the name of use super? Okay, yes, use super dot java. Yes, no error. I'm running use super. Now it is displaying I value as 1 and I value as a 2. Yes, likewise it will execute. Okay, clear? Yes, and our next topic is, let me see what is the next topic. So you have till now you have learned how to access the super members by using the super keyword and how to use the super method. Then what is the usage of super method? To initialize the base class constructor through from subclass. Yes, so in this class we have learned, and next our concept is creating multi-level hierarchy. So let us see what is a multi-level inheritance. So as we know, we inheritance various kinds of inheritance, that is single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and other inheritance. So So what is a single inheritance? Single base class is having single derived class. Okay, one base class is having one derived class is called as single level inheritance. Now we are seeing the multi-level inheritance, not as a multiple inheritance, it is a multi-level inheritance. Let us see what is a multi-level inheritance. A derived class is derived from another derived class is called as multi-level inheritance. What is the meaning of a multi-level inheritance? A derived class is derived from another derived class is called as multi-level inheritance. Okay, so this is the concept of multi-level inheritance. For example, if you see here, A is the base class and B is the derived class. So B is inheriting the properties of A class. So B is the derived class, right? Now C is there. So B is already the derived class. C is another derived class. Okay, this C is deriving the B derived class. B is already derived the A superclass. That is the definition of multi-level inheritance. What is a multi-level inheritance? A derived class is derived from another derived class. A derived class is derived from another derived class. This is the derived class which is derived from another derived class. Okay, so for this you are writing the class A, your class B extends class A, your class C extends class B. It means C can inherit the feature of A and B also. B can inherit the feature of only A. Got it? So this is the multi-level inheritance. To explain this multi-level inheritance, once again we are moving to the box concept. In the box we are making it as a private variables as a width, height and depth, and constructor. In the constructor we are passing the object as a parameter. In the second one, constructor, this constructor is passing as a width, height and depth. Here box with no parameterized constructor, and box double length. Here the double length is there, width is equal to height is equal to depth is equal to length. Okay, so now we will see we are seeing volume method. So what is the volume of a box? Length into width into height. Okay, so here the box is end, we are writing the box weight. What is the box weight? Another class. It is inheriting the feature of box. Okay, here also it consists of a constructor. While defining these constructors, we have to look over the base class constructors. So base class constructors, according to that, here we are passing the object. Here also we have to pass the object as a parameter. Okay, so also we are using the super keyword. What is the purpose of super method? By using this super method, you can access, by using this super method, we can access the base class constructor. Okay, means we can access this constructor. And next, here one more has there, how many parameters are exist, that parameters is related, and box weight is there, and box weight is a constructor. So 1, 2, 3, 4 constructor is there. We have to supposed to write in the subclass constructor also 4 constructor. One is a passing object as a parameter, and another one is a 4 parameters, and another one is the default parameters, and another one is the another parameters. Okay, likewise you are use, and one more class we are taking. The name of the class is the shipment. It extends the features of box weight. It means it inherits the feature of box weight as well as it inherits the features of box. Okay, now in this we are defining double cost. Here we are defining double cost. Okay, here we are defining the object. Okay, now it is a constructor. In this constructor we are creating one more super method. Why? Because it is a consist of base class constructor. So here box weight is the base class to the shipment class. Okay, got it? Here the box is the base class to the box weight. Here the box weight is the derived class of a box. Here the shipment is the derived class of box weight. Okay, so likewise, how many constructor exist, that much of a constructor we have to supposed to place, and next we will do our class. Okay, Till now we do not have any main method in this. Next I'm creating the main method class. The main method class is demo shipment. In this demo shipment you are creating the object. Whenever you are creating the object, we are supplying the arguments, n number of arguments related to that. It will automatically initializes. All the constructors are automatically initializes. So for the shipment class you have created two objects, shipment 1 and shipment 2. Okay, now you are using the volume method. In the volume method, shipment 1 dot volume method is using. Okay, double volume is equal to shipment 1 dot volume. Okay, now system dot println volume of shipment 1 is volume. Now I am displaying the volume. So where is the shipment 1 dot volume? Here the volume method is exist. No. Here is exist. No. But it exists in your box. It will process width into height into depth. Got it? So it will be evaluated and the value will be stored in your volume and you are displaying the volume. And shipment 1 dot width, that is weight 3.41. Sorry, that is 10, I think so. And next shipment 1 dot cost 3.41. Okay, and here the same thing. Whenever we are executing 2 into 3 into 4 will be executed. Shipment dot weight is 0.76 and its cost is 1.28. It will be evaluated. Now call to the constructor. Please observe carefully here. Here the class box is there, box weight is there, and shipment is there. These are the three classes. In box we have mentioned some of the variable as a private, but it can be accessible only within this class. Got it? But here box weight is there, it is also accessible, and here it is also accessible because you are inheriting, right? In the inheritance it is possible. Okay, this class is only inheriting. Got it? So that is why you can access that private variables. And now we are moving to the next topic, call to the constructors. Call to the constructors. When a subclass object is created, whose constructor is executed first? So this is the question. So we are using base class constructor as well as a subclass constructor. Whenever you are using the base class constructor and the subclass constructor, which constructor is evaluated first? It is obviously subclass or one defined in superclass. That is the question will rise as it is always, it is a hypothetical question, but according to our requirement we can say it as through from subclass you are accessing the base class, right? So base class constructor will initialize first, next subclass constructor will initialized first, next base class constructor. First which class is executed? Base class constructor. Okay, next which class is executed? Subclass constructor. Clear? Yes, likewise it will be evaluated. Okay, now to understand the concept better, let us see here simple program. Class A, it is the constructor, right? In the constructor I am displaying one output statement where the class A ends. I am creating class B extensive, it is inheriting, right? So B constructor is there. Okay, here we have not mentioned anything, super method or nothing is there. Got it? And now I'm creating class C extends B, it is inheriting class B. Okay, so in C constructor is mentioned, you are displaying the output. Afterwards you are creating one more class. Whenever one more class is created, you have to understand whether it consists of a main method or not. Yes, it consists of a main method. If you consist of a main method, then what you are doing? You are creating the object for last subclass, last derived class. Okay, last derived class is C. You are creating the object of that class. Whenever the object of this class is created, this constructor will initialize. Already it is inheriting class B, this constructor is initialized, and also it is using class A, this constructor is initialized. So obviously sometimes it may be inside A's constructor, inside B's constructor, inside C's constructor, or else it may be in reverse order also. Let me check whether this execution of a program will give the same output or other output. Yes, now I am saving this file calling cons. This is the name of the file, calling cons. File, save. It will come. While saving, I am ensuring that I am saving in a right directory. Now I'm opening a command prompt and I'm exiting from root directory to my directory. I have to log in into my directory. Javac calling cons. It consists of two errors. Where is this? Line number 23. Okay, so line number 23 you have to supposed to see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 18 19 20 21 22 23 23 in the sense it may consist of spaces. Okay, now I am removing. Once again, let me save it and run it. Now still it is having in 22 and 12. Okay, so it is showing in the 22 and 12. So this is sometimes because of this we have to support, right? io dot star import java dot lang dot star. One, two, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Let me check how many closings are there. Here it started, here it ends, here it started, here it ended, here it is started, and one more extra is there. We don't require this. Let me check here. Class B, C is started, C is ended. Here one more extra is not there. We have to supposed to close. Yes. Now let me save it, compile it and run it. Java C calling cons.java. Yes, no error. Now we have to run Java calling cons. Yes, it's coming like that. If I run once again, so once again also it is showing. Okay, yes, likewise it will be evaluated. Okay, that is the concept of calling to the constructor. And next, this is also very important topic: superclass reference and subclass object. Superclass reference and subclass object. Okay, now let me see what is the superclass reference and subclass objects. Okay, now we will see superclass reference and subclass object. As you know, Java is a strongly typed language, means it is a truly object oriented programming language. Aside from standard conversation and automatic promotion, it is applied to the primitive types. Type compatibility is strictly enforced. So whatever you are doing, the type compatibilities, type conversions is strictly checked. Okay, let me see. A reference variable for one class type cannot normally refer to the object of another class type. So here it is mentioning, therefore a reference variable for one class type cannot normally refer to the object of another class type. One reference variable cannot reference the object of another class type. He is specifying. To understand this concept, let us see this sample program. Here class X, in this class X you are taking the variable A. Now you are taking the constructor in I. Okay, now you are displaying A is equal to I. Okay, so what does it means? You have defined in this class a variable and a constructor. For that constructor, whatever the parameter you have used, you are assigning that variable. Okay, now that is the end of class X. Now you are taking the class Y. In class y also you are taking one more variable and one more constructor you are assigned, right? In class x, class y, it consists of the same name of a variable, that is a. It is not inheriting. Okay, now you are writing one more class. What is the name of the class? Incompatible reference. What is the name of the class? Incompatible reference. Got it? Now in this we are having main method, public static void main. Now we are creating the object of x class. While creating the object of x class, we are passing the argument. Why? Because this is the constructor, right? So whatever the 10 you have supplied, it is assigned in a. For the class x, you are declaring the variable, not a object. Please observe, it is the variable. Okay, so for this variable, what you are going to supposed to do? Now you are seeing, now you have declared the variable of class x as x2. Now let me check. For the class y, I am creating the object as y and I am supplying the value 5 because of a constructor. Okay, now x2 is equal to x. So x2 is pointing x object. So it can take both the same time because it is having the same thing. So it is pointing the class x. Suppose if you made x2 as a y, then it gives an error. Why? Because you have declared the object of a type x2 as an x, but it is not pointing the reference of y. Okay, so that is the issue. Clear? Yes. A reference variable of a superclass can be assigned to a reference to the object of subclass, but you can reference a variable of a superclass that can be assigned a reference to an object of subclass derived from that superclass. So it is only possible whenever you are using superclass. Superclass variable can be referred by subclasses. Okay, yes. Now let me see the same program, class x and class y, but in the last program class y is not inheriting the class x, means it is not inheriting. Now it is inheriting. How we can say it is inheriting? Because it consists of extents. Okay, extents is there. So here we are taking int a variable, int b variable. Now while constructing, we have to suppose to pass two parameters. Why two parameters? Because it is consist of two variables. Okay, it consists of two variables, variable in x and variable in y. Got it? Variable in x is there and variable in y is there. Clear? And now int b. Now in int b, you have declared the variable in class y. You are using the constructor. While constructor, you are taking the two parameters. First parameter is always your base class constructor parameter because you are also used the constructor, and second parameter is always for the variable of second variable which has declared in your class y. Okay, and to supply this first parameter value to the base class constructor, we are using the super method. Okay, afterwards in the b variable I am assigning this I. Here I am supplying the second parameter as the value of a constructor, x constructor. Okay, and first parameter as the second class variable value. Okay, now I'm constructing one more class. What is the name of the class? Class super sub reference. Now it is taking as a main method. In the main method, you are creating the class. In the main method, you are creating the class. What is the class you are creating? Sorry, you are creating the object of the class. What object you are creating for the class x? You are creating as an x. So what is the value you are supplying? 10. Automatically this constructor will initialize and a is assigned as a 10. Now you are declaring the variable for that class x. What is the name of the variable? x2. x2 as an object. Okay, it is not an object. You have declared the object. You have not created, you have declared, right? Now for the class y, you have created the object y and you are supplying the two parameters because in constructor it consists of two parameters 5, 6. So 5 is assigned in y, high, j is assigned as a 6. So this 6 will be passed to the base class constructor because we are using the super method. In B I am storing I. What is the I value? It is 5. Got it? Now x2 is equal to x. It is referring the same thing, then there is no problem. Now if I display x2 dot a, then it will display the value as, what is the value? 10. Okay, x2 as 10. Now let us see x2 is equal to y. You have declared the object of x class, right? You are assigning x2 is equal to y. Still okay, because y is derived from x. It is also possible. Why? Because it is deriving, x is deriving from y. Okay, that is why y is derived from x. Y class is inheriting the features of x. It is also possible. Okay, now if you print x2 dot a, then what is the output? Now the output is, this is 5, not as a 10, it is 5. Okay, if you try to do x2 dot a is equal to 19, x reference only about x members, it will access only x members. It is also okay, because a is the x class member. Suppose if you try to do x2 dot b is the member of y class, it is not possible. Got it? So hence it will returns an error. You have to give more attention on this. If you understand this only, you can understand how to refer, how to assign the reference of a subclass through base class. Okay, yes. Next our concept is method overriding. We will continue our class in next session. Hope you have understand this concept. Thank you. Yes, next our concept is method overriding. When a method in a subclass has the same name and the same type signature and the method in its superclass, then the method in the subclass is said override the method in superclass. As we know, what is a overloading? What is a overloading? The same name, same method name, same type and same signatures, but different in parameter list, right? But difference in return types. But here the concept is, in base class and in subclass, base class and in child class, the methods are having the same name, but whenever we want to execute, the method of base class will hide and only runs by the method in subclass. Method in superclass is always hides and method in subclass are referred. Okay, got it? This is the concept of method overriding. When an overridden method is called from within a subclass, it will always refers to the version of that method defined by that subclasses. Okay, for a better understanding, let you understand this concept. What is a method overriding? In base class and subclass, it is having the same method names, and which method has to execute, that is the question will arises. In that situation, what happens? Always a subclass method hides the base class methods. Always subclass method hides the base class method. This concept is called as method overriding. Okay, for understanding, let you see here sample program class A. Here we have declared two variable int I comma j. Now I am taking the constructor int I, a comma int b. In I am storing a, j I am storing b. Now I am taking one method. What is the name of the method? Void show. So in void show I am displaying the value of I and j. Here the class A ends. Now let us see class B extends class A. Class B extends A. What does it mean? Then class B inherits the properties of class A. Okay, so it will access all these things. Now int k, I am defining one more variable in this B, and I am using the constructor. If you are already having the constructor in base class, in child class also we have to supposed to create the constructor. Okay, in the child class I am creating the constructor int a comma int b. This is two parameter is for base class and this parameter is for child class. If we want to initialize this base class constructor, we have to supposed to use a super method. In the super method, a comma b parameter are supplying, and next k is equal to c. Now we are giving k is equal to c. Okay, so this is possible. Okay. Next, I'm using the show method. Here also show method is there. Here also show method is there. Then what happens? I'm displaying the k value. I'm displaying the k value. Now here the class B finishes. Now it comes to the class override. Next, our concept is class override. In this, we are having new method. We are creating the object of a child class. What is the child class? Class B. What is the name of the object? Sub OB. In this, you are taking new B of 1, comma 2, comma 3. So whatever the values you are supplying, it will be replicated here 1, 2, 3 and super method 1, comma 2. So automatically class A constructor initialized whenever you are defining the object of class B. Now sub OB dot show method. So sub OB dot show method means here also show method is there, here also show method is there. So if two show method is exist, that then this subclass constructor will overrides base class constructor. Subclass constructor will overrides base class constructor. Now it will display the result as 3. Yes, overridden method supports the polymorphism. Already we know what is a overriding. Overriding in the sense, if base class and subclass is having the same method, then whenever you are inheriting the features of a base class through from subclass, then the method in subclass hides the method in superclass. This concept is called as overriding. Yes, method overriding forms the basis for one of Java's most powerful concept, dynamic method dispatch. So already we are familiar with the dispatch, right? Here we are seeing dynamic method dispatch. This dynamic method dispatch is the mechanism by which a call to an override method is resolved at runtime rather than compile time. So this dynamic method dispatch is a mechanism which can be overridden method is resolved at runtime rather than compile time. So you can override at the runtime instead of compile time. Okay, so dynamic method dispatch is important because this is how Java implements runtime polymorphism. This kind of a very important. This dispatching is we have learned in your operating system. That operating system we have seen what do you mean by a dispatcher, dispatch latency. So the same concept we are implementing by using the code behind that concept is overriding. Okay, so this is helpful at the runtime. Hence this polymorphism is having a greatest importance in Java programming language. In other words, it is the type of object being referred to that determine which version of overridden method will be executed, and also it is a type which method has to be supposed to call. Okay, therefore if a superclass contains a method that is overridden by a subclass, when different types of objects are referred to through a superclass reference variable, different version of a methods are executed. Okay, so likewise we can take another definition. Whenever we are having the same methods in superclass and subclass, we are creating multiple objects. Through that multiple objects we have to identify for which class you are creating the object, whether you are creating the object for superclass or subclass. Based on that we can evaluate that methods. Got it? Here is an example illustrate the dynamic method dispatch. We will see that example. Okay, I hope it is visible, right? And now let us see here. We are taking class A. In class A we are having the method name called void call me method. Okay, please observe here. Here we are having class A. Here we are having void call me method, and I am displaying that one output statement inside A's call method. Here the method ends and class A ends. Now I am writing the class B. Now class B extends A. What does it mean? B is inheriting the features of A. Okay, here is also having the same method name. Please observe here in the class A is having a void call me method, in the class B is also it is having void call me method. So I'm displaying inside B's method. Here the class B ends. Okay, now we'll see in class C. Okay, so in class C what we are exactly doing, class C extends A means class C is inheriting the features of class A. In class C also having void call me method. If it is a consist of a void call me method in class A and class C, whenever the object of a class C is referred, then class C method will override class A method. Okay, so likewise we have done class A, class B, class C. Class B inherits the features of class A and class C is also inherits the features of class A. Okay, so here the class ends. Now I am writing one more class, that is public static void main string args. Here the main method is there. For the class A we have created the object. What is the name of the object? A. For the class B I am creating the object. What is the name of the object? B. For the class C I am having object C. Okay, now I'm referring object A. I'm declaring the object A variable. Okay, A R. What is the R stands for? R stands for, here please observe here R stands for object reference type of A. Got it? And now we are moving to R is referring object A. Reference object A it refers, so there is no problem. R dot call me, then A version of call me will be evaluated. Now the object of A is pointing to the object of not a object, the reference of a object R is pointing to B. Now we will see what it will happens, right? R refers to B object. Now R dot call me, then B version of call me will execute. R is equal to C, then R refers C object. Okay, so likewise then we can use object reference. Through that object reference we can execute different types of methods. Okay, so likewise we can schedule the jobs in your operating system. Okay, so as we have learned various algorithms in your operating system. So through this object reference variable, what I am referring? The object. Through that object I am calling. Through that reference of variable I am calling the object. I am assigning the object. Through that object I am calling that method. Got it? Likewise dispatcher method will be evaluated. Okay, yes. And now here one more example is there. Let us see dynamic dispatch method of another example. What is the class? Name of the class is super. Here having void who. In output statement we have displaying who is in super. Okay, here the super class ends, and I am taking one more class. Name of the class is a sub1, extends the feature of super, and I am taking the same method here. While printing I am taking it as a who in sub1. Okay, and now I'm coming the main method. What is the main method here? Class dynamic display demo. Here main method is there. For superclass you are creating the superclass object. The name of the superclass object is superOB. For the subclass you are creating the subclass object. The name of the sub object is sub1 and sub2. Whether sub2 is exist, we will see. Is there sub2? Yes, we are having sub2. For this class also we are creating the object. Now for the superclass object I am referring the variable. Got it? Now what I'm exactly doing here? I am defining superclass reference variable. Through that reference variable I'm assigning the object. Now I'm calling this super reference variable dot who method. This method is exist in your superclass, then it will be called superclass reference to subobject 1. I'm assigning. Through from this variable you can calling the subclass object methods. Okay, and super reference is equal to sub object 2. I'm by using reference variable I'm accessing sub object 2, and I'm accessing the method in sub object 2 through from that reference variable. So here it is clearly given. In each case the version of who to call is determined at runtime by the type of object being referred to. Okay, so likewise your example will be evaluated. Okay, now uses of overridden methods. What are the uses? If you observe the first point, overridden method allows Java to support runtime polymorphism. As we know what is a polymorphism, ability to take more than one form. So if you are using the overridden method, it allows Java to support runtime polymorphism. So data will be dynamically changes. That is the thing. Dynamical changes is nothing but a runtime polymorphism. Okay, polymorphism is essential to object oriented programming for one reason: it allows a general classes to specify method that will common to all of its derivatives, while allowing subclasses to define the specific implementation of some or all of those methods. These kinds are essential because in last two previous programs you are using the derivatives. Derivatives means reference variables of superclass. Through from that superclass variable you are accessing the subclass object. If you are accessing the subclass object, then you are accessing the methods in subclass object. This kinds of implementation is very important. Overridden method are another way that Java implements the one interface multiple methods aspects of polymorphism. So here the third point clearly gives one interface multiple methods. Okay, one window with multiple menu. Got it? Likewise we can treat it. So you can take one window with multiple menus. According to that menu it will acts. Got it? So likewise you can treat one interface for multiple method. This is the aspects of polymorphism. The superclass provides all element that a subclass can use directly. So here by using this superclass, it provides all elements that a subclass can use directly. It also defines those methods that the derived class must implement on its own. So derived class also must implement on its own. So if you are taking the overridden method, then we have to implement our own code. Means it has to access the superclass methods and also add additional features. Okay, this allows the subclass the flexibility to define its own method. Hence, if you are implementing your own concept, then it will access for the flexibility. Okay, flexibility means it can change at any cost whatever you are implementing, right? So likewise you can use the overridden methods, and here we will see one sample example. So let us see this sample example. What is the sample example? We'll see, okay, in the next class.